ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशव वामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So in the last two Advaita Stotras of Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, in Mohamudgaraha or Bhajagovindam, we saw Adi Shankaracharya making an impact on us, on a human being, that one really should choose moksha as the Purushartha. Bhaja Govindam means may you choose Govindam, may you choose Govinda, may you choose Lord, may you choose Ishvara, may you choose Atma or Brahman and completely get free from this bondage of samsara which we have been feeling from millions and millions of years. That was what was the summary of Moha Mudgaraha or the popularly known Bhaja Govindam. After that, as a sequence to that, we saw Sadhana Panchakam, in which Bhagavan Shankaracharya talks about the various sadhanas that are necessary to prepare oneself for this knowledge. And how does he talk about the various sadhanas? He talks about them in the form of those which are feasible for different ashramas a human being goes through. That is from Brahmacharya to Grahastha to Vanaprastha to Sannyasa, as to what is that spiritual growth or that journey towards the Moksha Purushartha and what are the sadhanas to be done in each stage so that it becomes the preparation for the next stage, and how ultimately in the sannyasa ashrama a person totally commits himself or herself to the study of atmajnana and how he abides in the atmaswarupa. And this abidance in atmaswarupa or jnana nishtha was talked about there. Now, as a consequence to that, as we progress further, the way I have chosen these Advaita Stotras are that they are following one another. Like Mohamudgara first, Purushartha Nishchaya, sadhanas to go towards that Moksha Purushartha. And now we'll be dealing with the set of Nididhyasana Stotras which are going to talk about Atma Anusandhanam, Atma Smaranam, or summarizing whatever we have studied in Vedanta so far as to see myself as that Brahman and not as the Anatma body mind sense complex. So, in this particular context, we'll probably taking about two or three Advaita Stotras of Adi Shankaracharya who talks about nothing but how to contemplate upon one's own Swarupam. And that is what gives rise to Jnana Nishtha. If I have understood very clearly the teaching of Tattvamasi from the teacher, and if I have clearly understood Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Brahman, then sometimes, even though I know that Aham Brahmasmi, I have to contemplate upon it for assimilation. And these Anusandhana or Smarana stotras, Atma Swarupa Smarana stotras, are only going to help us in assimilating this knowledge, in assimilating this Mahavakya, and making this knowledge absolutely a assimilated knowledge, a knowledge which becomes a transformative knowledge, that which has become a digested knowledge in me. That knowledge which doesn't remain only as words in my intellect, but I have actually absorbed, and every word that the Mahavakya has spoken about has really sunk into me, and it has transformed me. That transformative knowledge, that knowledge, Atma Vidya, which transforms me from an Ajnani to a Jnani, from a Samsari to the Mukta Purusha, requires a lot of nididhyasanam. And these stotras, Advaita stotras, two or three which we will be taking up, are only going to do that job. And the first Advaita Stotra we are going to take here in this regard, in contemplating upon my Swarupam, is what is called as Pratah Smaranam. It's also called Brahmanaha Pratah Smaranam. That means what? That I am going to contemplate early morning on my reality, my real Swarupam. There are so many things that I'll have to do throughout the day, but at least for some time in the morning, when my mind is fresh, when my intellect is ready, before all the samsara has literally started creeping into me, let me do some nididhyasanam on whatever the Vedantic teachings have shown me as to what I really am. Just saying Aham Brahmasmi, I know, Tattvamasi is the teaching of Vedanta, is not sufficient. This knowledge has to become a digested or an absorbed, completely absorbed, assimilated, transformative knowledge. And these kind of stotras, Niridhyasana stotras, we may call them, they help us in establishing myself into this knowledge which is called as Jnana Nishtha. And Prathasmaranam contains just three verses. It may look as if it's a very, very small work, but it is loaded with meaning. The entire teaching of Vedanta, especially in the form of what I am not and what I am. What is this Jagat? Is it the reality or not? So, Aham Satyam, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaivanapara is talked about in these short three verses. So, I'll read the first verse and then I will explain the meaning to you. You will be very familiar with these things because we have already studied these things in Bhagavad Gita, in Vivek Chudamani, in Kathomadishat also. Therefore, these Nididhyasana mantras are not going to be that difficult. They help us in establishing or abiding in our own Atmaswarupam. So let me read the first verse. Pratasmaranam. ॐ प्रातस्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित्सुखं परमहंसगतिं तुरीयम् यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवैति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः. So the first thing that Adi Shankaracharya wants to say is what you are not and what you are. That's what is going to be the theme followed in these entire three verses. Let us take the last line first and the last three words. Nacha bhuta sanghaha. I am not the elemental body mind sense complex. Bhuta Sangaha means what? That which is actually a conglomeration of the five elements or the elemental. This body mind sense complex, which is made up of the five elements, which is called as the Pancha Bhautika Anatma. Bhautikam. Bhautikam means what? Elemental. The five elements, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi, together have come together and they have combined in a certain proportion and given rise to this physical body. And the same five elements have also contributed to the formation of the Sukshma Sharira also. So, this Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, which is called as the Karya Karana Sanghata, is what is called as the Bhuta Sangaha. Bhuta Sangaha just means an elemental or that which is formed because of the combination of the five elements, Panchamahabhutas, which includes the Sthula Shariram and the Sukshma Shariram. Therefore, Nacha Bhuta Sangaha. I am not the Bhuta Sangaha. I am not the Karyakarana Sanghataha. I am not the Anatma body mind sense complex. Then who am I? Tad Brahma Nishchalamaham. The same fourth line, the first two words. Tad Brahma Nishkalam, Tad Brahma Nishkalam Aham. Tad Brahma Nishkalam Aham Nacha Bhuta Sangaha. Tad Brahma. I'm that Brahman. Tad, we saw that. Tat Tvam Asi is a Mahavakya in which the teacher said, Tat Brahma Tvam Atma Asi. That Brahman you are. That Ishvara you are. Tat Brahma. When we say Tat, that Tat Pada stands for Brahman. That Brahman you are. You are not the body, mind, sense complex. And when I meditate upon this, when I contemplate upon this, how do I contemplate? I am not the Bhuta Sangaha. I am not the body, mind, sense complex. Then who am I? I am that Nishkalam Brahmaha. I am that indivisible Ekam Eva Advitiyam Brahma. Nishkalam means that which is made up of parts, that which is divisible. Kala means divisions or parts. Here, I am that consciousness, I am that Brahman, which is Niravayavam, that which does not have any parts. Therefore, I am that consciousness which cannot be divisible in any way. I am that indivisible consciousness. Tad Brahma Nishkalam Aham. Aham tad Brahma Nishkalam Nacha Bhuta Sangaha. I am not the body mind sense complex. And where do I contemplate upon this Brahma Swarupam of myself? Pratha Smarami. Of course, I should contemplate upon it all the time, but better to start at least some time in the day and Pratha Smarami. I contemplate upon my Nirguna Brahma, whatever I am, as Nirguna Brahman I am. I contemplate upon my Swarupam as Nirguna Brahman early in the morning. There are other Pratha Smaranams also. Shiva Pratha Smaranam is there. Lalita Pratha Smaranam is there. There are where the Saguna Ishvara contemplation is done. But here in Brahmanaha Pratah Smaranam, I contemplate upon myself as that Nirguna Brahman. So, Pratha Smarami. Aham Pratah Smarami. Daily morning, early mornings, before I start anything else, when I'm fresh, when the Jagat has not yet started influencing me totally, I contemplate upon my own nature, Swarupam. And where do I contemplate upon it? Where? Is there some locus on which I contemplate? Hrudisam Spuradatma Tattvam. That Atma Tattvam or that consciousness which is constantly there in me, which is pulsating in me. Hridi Samsphurat Atma Tattvam. That consciousness, that Sakshi Chaitanya me, which is constantly available to me, pulsating in me, which is available within this Hridaya Guha, which is present within me, which is constantly telling me Aham Asmi iti. Isn't it? Are we not aware of ourselves all the time? Aham Asmi, I am, I am is something which nobody has to tell me. Nobody need to prove that I'm there. I'm all the time there because in me, in this Hridaya Guha, in this mind, there is a constant pulsation of that Ahamasmi iti Atma, myself, this consciousness, this Sakshi Chaitanya Atma is revealing itself. It is constantly revealing itself. We'll see that later when we take the Dakshinamurti Stotram as the last Advaita Stotra. We'll see where he talks about this Antas Puratam, all the time, that pulsating, that self revealing consciousness, Hridi Samspurata Atma Tattvam. Here it is on my Nirguna Swarupam that I am contemplating. So, like Lalita Pratah Smaranam or like Shiva Pratah Smaranam, I don't have a Saguna Rupa in front of me to contemplate upon. I contemplate upon my own Swarupam, which is constantly revealing itself in me. Hridisam Spurata Atma Tattvam. That's why I say I show myself here. I say, I don't say I or I say here because it's really samspurata atma tattvam, which is constantly revealing itself as I. And then who am I? Who is that I or Atma Swarupam? What is its nature? Satchit Sukham Paramaham Sagatim Turiyam. It is of the nature of Sat, Chit, and Sukham. We have already seen. Sat means that is there in the form of existence as the adhishtanam of everything that is there. Sattarupena, Satrupena. It is existent, all pervading. It is the all pervading consciousness who me. I am that all pervading consciousness, Satrupena, as the adhishtanam of everything. Sat Chitrupena. Chitrupena means knowledge swarupena, jnana swarupena. I am the knowing consciousness. When I say I know, what is it that knows? It is that consciousness which has the swarupam of Nyapti. Nyapti means what? Knowing. I am of the nature of that knowing consciousness. Sat Chit Sukham Paramahamsa Gatim Turiyam. Paramahamsa Gatim. That is the ultimate goal of all the Paramahamsa sannyasis. Those who have taken sannyasa, renounced all the karma for the purpose of exclusively pursuing this Atmajnana. It is the ultimate goal of these sannyasis, Paramahamsa sannyasis. It is the gati, the ultimate goal. Then Turiyam. What is the Turiyam? We'll see it with reference to the next line. Yat swapna jagara sushuptamavaiti nityam. Turiyam is also the name given to this consciousness. Sakshi Chaitanya Swarupa Atma is also called Turiyam. Why is it called Turiyam? Because it is the Sakshi Chaitanyam of Swapna, Jagrat, and Sushupti avasthas. It is one consciousness, me, that is aware of the Jagrit Avastha, of the Sushupti Avastha, of the Swapna Avastha. It is the same consciousness because of which I understand that I am the same person who is awake now. I am the same person who is going to go to sleep and dream. And when I wake up from the sleep, I say I am the same person. I recognize myself as the same person who was awake, who went to sleep, who dreamt, and who had deep sleep, and who came out of the deep sleep. This consciousness, which is the Sakshi or the witness of all the three states of the mind, Swapna, Jagara, and Sushupti, and when all the time, Nityam, all the time, I am never unaware of myself. I am all the time aware of myself in and through all the states of the mind like Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti, in and through all my transactions, always. And this particular all the time awareing Sakshi Chaitanyam in all the three states of the mind is given the name Turiyam. Turiyam means the fourth, but don't bother, let us not bother about it because that is the name given in Mandukya Upanishad for this consciousness, which is the Sakshi Chaitanyam of all the three avasthas, Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti avasthas. And who am I? I, that Atma, is Tad Brahmanishkalamaham. Here the Mahavakya has come, Nacha Bhuta Sangaha. So, this is the first verse where I contemplate upon myself as nothing but that constantly pulsating Sakshi Chaitanya Atma. I don't have to look for it anywhere else. It is here available within me. And it is the very witness consciousness, the very knowing consciousness, the very all pervading consciousness in the form of Sat, Chit, Sukha, Swarupa Atma. It is the Sakshi of the three states of the mind. And this Atma, I am nothing but that Nishkalam Brahma. I am not this body mind sense complex. This one verse itself is talking about the entire Vedantic teaching, starting from Atma Anatma Viveka. Then let us go to the next verse. Pratarbhajami manasa vachasam agamyam vacho vibhanti nikhila yadanugrahena यन्नेति नेति वचनैर्निगमा अवोचन् तं देवदेवमजमच्युतमाहुरग्र्यम्. Of course, this is sung in different tunes, different acharyas chanted in different tunes. That's okay, it doesn't matter. It can be chanted like prose also, no problem. So, pratar bhajami. Bhajami also means contemplate. Bhajami, pratah bhajami. I contemplate. On what? I contemplate on that Atmaswarupam. Manacha vachasa agamyam. What is the meaning of this? I concentrate upon that Swarupam of myself, the Nija Swarupam, the Atma Swarupam, which is not an object of perception. We have seen this in Vivek Chudamani. We have seen this in Bhagavad Gita also. We have seen this in Kathopanishad also. So, what does it mean? Brahman or Atma is me. I'm the Drik. I'm the seer. I'm the knower consciousness. I'm not the known object. So, what he's saying? Pratah Smarami, I contemplate on that Atmaswarupam, Manasa Vachasam Agamyam. Manasam Vachasam Agamyam. What does it mean? I, the Atmaswarupam, is not an object which can be perceived by my sense organs or the mind. That means what? It is all not an object of perception. Let me give an example. I see this book. It is an object of my perception. I am not the book. I am the very perceiver consciousness of this book. Similarly, our scriptures say, you experience the body. The body is an experienced object. You are the experiencer consciousness. The object cannot be the subject. The subject cannot be the object. If we have not understood this, let us say, I have a donkey. The donkey is what is perceived by me, drishyam. I am not the donkey. Similarly, I have a body. The body is experienced by me. Who am I? I'm not the body, I'm the experiencer consciousness. I have a mind. I experience the mind with all its emotions, raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, mada, matsarya, everything. I have an intellect. I see the intellect making decisions and fulfilling, decisions. I have an ahankara. I see how I, as an individual, think and behave and do vyavahara. Therefore, this body is an object of my perception. This mind is an object of my perception. The sense organs are the objects of my perception. The mind is an object of my perception. The buddhi is an object of my perception. Ahankara is an object of my perception. Therefore, I am not any of these. That is what is meant by manasa vachasam agamyam. What can be recognized through the sense organs and the mind? It's only an object outside. Manasa vachasam agamyam. By the sense organs and the mind, that which can be recognized is nothing but an object in the world outside. Then, how are we to know the Atma? Kathopanishad said, Manasa eva idam aptavyam. That means what? The mind, the buddhi itself has to understand that this perceiver consciousness is not the perceived. Difficult to understand, but one has to go on contemplating over it. Just see, Adi Shankaracharya has written this as a stotra. This is a stotra which we chant without understanding what it means. The entire teaching of Vedanta is there. What it says is Pratha Smarami, Prathar Bhajami. I contemplate upon myself this Atmaswarupam, which is not an object that can be perceived by the sense organs or the mind. But what is it then? वाचो विभान्ति निखिला यदनुग्रहेण. But this consciousness, I bless the sense organs, I bless the body mind sense complex, and with my anugraha, with my proximity, with my anugraha, the jada body becomes the chetana sharira. The Jada mind becomes the Chetana mind. The Jada sense organs become the Chetana sense organs. And it is my presence, in my presence, I make all these sense organs, body, mind, sense complex function the way they are. How do I make it function? Forming the reflection in the buddhi, chidabhasa rupena. I, the Atma, the all pervading Sat Chit Sukha Swarupa Atma, I reflect myself, get reflected. I don't reflect, I get reflected in the buddhi of every jiva. And this reflection, called as the Abhasa Chaitanyam, along with the body mind sense complex, acts as an independent unit. Mad anugrahena. I bless the ahankara with sentience. I bless the buddhi with sentience. I bless the mind with sentience. I bless the body with sentience, the sense organs with sentience. And therefore, all the vyavaharas that are done by the sense organs, like seeing, listening, speaking, smelling, going, coming, grasping, everything, all the vyavaharas of the sense organs, mad anugrahena, because of my presence. That is why in Kenopanishad it is said, who am I? Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manoyad. I am the ear of the ear, the eye of the eye. I am the consciousness which blesses the ear to hear. I am that consciousness which blesses the eye to see and do its function. So, vacho vibhanti nikhila yadanugrahena. All the vyavaharas of the indriyas and the mind are done because of my presence and because of my lending consciousness to them. Sat Chit Pradhanataya. I give, I lend consciousness and existence to this Anatma, body, mind, sense complex, and with my Anugraha, all these are functioning. Who am I? I am not the body, mind, sense complex, but I am that consciousness behind this body, mind, sense complex, because of which this body, mind, sense complex is able to work as an integrated unit. Mad anugrahena vacho vibhanti nikhila. Vibhanti, that means the sense organs are able to do all their actions. Mad anugrahena. Then next line says, which is a very common line which is used in an Upanishad called as Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Yanneti neti vachanair nigama avochan. The Upanishads, especially Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, explains this Atma as not this, not this, not this. Neti, neti means what? Na iti, na iti. It tries to exclude all the objects of the world and says, you are not this, you are not this, you are not this, starting from the world. And Brihadaranyakam Upanishad divides the whole world into Murta Prapancha and Amurta Prapancha, a world of names and forms, a manifest universe, and a universe in which there are no names and forms, unmanifest universe. And he says, this Murta Prapancha also you are not. The entire Jagat with its names and forms, including your body, mind, sense complex, you are not. And you are not even the potential universe or the universe in which certain things have no names and no forms, no color, no forms. Like here itself, we have the space and the Vayu, which don't have any form. The formless also you are not. The formed names and forms of the universe also you are not. Therefore, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says neti neti. Twice it says neti. You are not the Murta Prapancha, you are not the Amurta Prapancha. You are not the manifest universe of names and form. You are not the unmanifest potential universe also. Then who are you? You are that light of consciousness because of which the Murta Prapancha is also perceived, the Amurta Prapancha is also ascertained. So, yan neti neti vachanaihi nigama avochan. Nigama means Upanishads, our Shastras, the scriptures, they describe you or they describe me because here I am doing the contemplation. I should take it as me. The teaching is you are that. The teaching is you are not the body, mind, sense complex. The teaching is you are the Sakshi Chaitanyam of all the sense organs and the body. The teaching is you are not the Murta Prapancha, not the Amurta Prapancha. But when I contemplate upon it, how do I contemplate upon it? I am not the Murta or Amurta Prapancha. I'm not any object in the world. I'm not anything that is perceived as an object by the sense organs and the mind. And this is the pramanam. This is the proof Adi Shankaracharya takes from the Brahadaranyaka Upanishad. And who am I? Tam Deva Devam Ajam Achyutamahurakryam. Then who am I? Tam, that Brahman, Tam, Deva Devam. I'm that light of lights. Jyotisham Jyotihi. Deva here means the light. Deva Devam means the light of all lights. We have seen that Natatra Suryo Bhati na Chandra Tarakam. Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kutoyam Agnihi. Tameva Bhantam Anubhati Sarvam. Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati. We saw that earlier also. That means what? This is the only light of consciousness. This means what? I am the only light of consciousness because of which all the other lights are revealed. I am the self revealing light of consciousness, which is expressed here by Bhagavan Shankaracharya as Deva Devam. I am the light of all the lights. Jyotisham Jyotihi. Ajam. I am unborn. Najayate Briyate va vipaschit. We saw that in Kathopanishad. Najayate Mriyate va kadachit. We saw that in Bhagavad Gita. So I am that unborn consciousness. The body dies, the mind and the sense organs travel and embody again in another body, but I am the all pervading untraveling atma, ajam, achyutam. For me there is no chuti, there is no vyaya, there is no wasting. Achyutam ahuhu agryam. I'm the first one, I'm the only one. Everything comes and goes. Even Prakriti or Maya also is something which is in the Pralaya state not manifest. Therefore, what is it that remains all the time? I, the Atma Surupa. That Atma, that Brahman, which constantly remains, that which is the only one Agryam, who says, the Upanishads say. This is what I have to contemplate upon. I can take one word of any of these and contemplate upon myself every day. I can contemplate upon Nishkalam Aham. I can contemplate upon that. Nacha Bhuta Sangaha. I am not the body mind sense complex. I can take any one word from any of these verses and use that for my contemplation every day, which is called as Vedantic meditation or Dhyanam or Nididhyasanam. Now, if so, what is this relationship between me and this world? This universe I'm seeing solidly, full of names and forms, and the Upanishads say, you are not the experienced world, but you are the experiencer consciousness, which we saw in the previous two verses. In that case, what is the relationship between me, I, the Atma, and this Jagat? What is the relationship? That is what is going to be talked about in the concluding verse, in the third verse. प्राथर्नमामि तमसः परमर्कवर्णम् पूर्णं सनातनपदं पुरुषोत्तमाख्यम् यस्मिन्निदं जगदशेषमशेषमूर्तौ रज्ज्वा भुजङ्गमिव प्रतिभासितं वै. So let us go to this third verse. Who am I then? Pratharnamami. Early mornings I will contemplate upon my own Swarupam. So Smarami, Bhajami, Namami. All the three in the three verses mean the same. Pratharnamami. Every morning I will contemplate upon what Vedanta has taught me about my real nature. Pratharnamami. Who am I? Tamasaha param. I am that knowledge Swarupa Atma, which is beyond the darkness of ignorance. I light up the ignorance also. When I say I don't know, my ignorance is also lighted up by me. What do I mean? I don't know. That means what? I am ignorant. There is something which is telling me I am ignorant. What is that? That light of consciousness which is lighting up my ignorance also. When I say I know something, it is that consciousness, this me, I, the consciousness, which is lighting up my knowledge also. When I say I don't know you, my ignorance about you is also lighted by this me, the consciousness. No other can light up the darkness. No light can light up the darkness of my ignorance. It is only the Atma Chaitanyam, the Chaitanya Atma, the knowledge Swarupi Atma, which can light up my own darkness of ignorance. Therefore, Pratharnamami Tamasaha Paramam Arkavarnam. Arkavarnam means it is the light of consciousness. Light, Arkavarnam, like the shining light or the shining rays of the sun which reveal everything except darkness. The sunlight can reveal everything. Can it reveal darkness? It cannot reveal darkness because the moment sunlight comes, darkness disappears. The moment the light is switched on, darkness in the room disappears. But what is it that lights up the darkness also? When I enter into a room which is dark, I say, my God, this is a dark room. What is it that has lighted up the darkness? What is it that lights up my own ignorance, darkness of ignorance about anything? He says, it is nothing but I, the Atma Chaitanyam, Deva Devam, the very light of consciousness. And what is its nature? Purnam Sanatana Purnam. I am the Purnatva Swarupa Atma. I am complete. I am infinite. I am not finite. I am Purnam. Anantam. That means what? I am not limited by time and space and other objects. Purnatvam. Infinite Atma. What is the meaning of infinite? I am not limited. What is finiteness? Limited. Just see this body. This body is limited in space, in time, and by other objects, correct? This body is space wise limited. I'm here, I can't be there. I'm here, limited by space, this space. I'm limited by time. Before a certain time, this body was not there. After some time, this body won't be there. Even when it is there, it is constantly undergoing change, limited in time, limited by time, limited by other objects. There is this laptop in front of me, I can't be sitting there, I'm limited by this. Anything else, any other object in the universe is limiting me. This is what is called as Desha Kala Vastu Paricheda. Space, time, object limitation, which is there for an Atma, for the body, mind, sense complex, for the objects of the world. But for me, the consciousness, I am Purnam, I am infinite, I am not limited by time or space or by any other objects. Sanatana Padam, I am of the nature of constantly being there, Sanatanam. I have never not been there. The body comes, the body exists for some time, the body disappears. But I have never come, I have never gone. No, I'm always there. In me, everything arises, including this body mind sense complex. In me, everything exists for a certain period of time. In me, the whole universe, in me, the Atma, Brahman, the whole universe resolves. We saw that in Bhagavad Gita also. Everything rises in me, said Krishna. Exists in me, Krishna said. Matsthani sarva bhutani. In me all the beings exist, he said. That is that which does not come and go. Aham Sanatana Padarupam, Sanatanam, of the nature of ever existent consciousness, ever existence, ever shining, ever pulsating consciousness. Aham Sanatana Padam Purushottamakyam, what is given in the Purushottama Yoga of Bhagavad Gita. What does Krishna say? There are three types of Purushas. The Kshara Purusha, which is nothing but this Jagat, which is constantly deteriorating and degenerating. There is Akshara Purusha, that is the world in the potential form, in the form of Maya or Prakriti. And he says, beyond these two, beyond the Kshara Purusha and Akshara Purusha, as the very Adhishtanam of the Kshara Purusha and Akshara Purusha, is me, the Uttama Purusha, Purushottama. Uttama Purusha means what? I, this consciousness, this Brahman. Atma and Brahman being the same, we already saw that in the very first verse, third line itself. Tad Brahmanishkalamaham nacha bhutasanga. That Brahman, which is the adhishtanam of this entire universe, I am that. Therefore, he says, Purushottamakyam. I am that Uttama Purusha or Purushottama, which Lord Krishna describes himself as Atmaswarupa, and it describes all of us also of the same nature. Purushottamakyam, Akyam, it was told, it was described by Lord Krishna in the 15th chapter of the Gita, Purushottamakyam. Then, Yasminnidam Jagadashesha Ashesha Murtau. Then what is this Brahman or I? I am the Ashesha Murti. I am the Ashesha Murti in which, Yasmin, in which Idam Jagat Ashesham, this entire universe, without any kind of an exception, arises in me, appears in me, stays in me for some time, and then disappears. So I, the Atma Brahman, is the Adhishtanam of this entire universe appearing in me. Who am I? I am the Ashesha Murti. That means I am the nameless, formless consciousness in which the entire name and form Jagat. And name and form Jagat includes what? It includes my body, mind, sense complex also. In this case, then, if this Jagat is appearing in me, is the Jagat real? You say, I am the reality, I am the only reality in which the whole Jagat is appearing. Then what is the relationship between me and the Jagat? Is the Jagat really in me? Am I influenced by this Jagat? So what do our scriptures say? They say Atma is asangaha. Name karmani limpanti, na chamatstani bhutani. Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said, nothing affects me. I am the Asanga Atma. So what does he say? Though I am that consciousness in which the entire universe is appearing, the entire universe appears in me, subsists in me, resolves in me, but I am not affected by this name and form universe in any way. The body mind sense complex arises in me, exists in me, resolves in me, but I am not affected by either the kartrutvam or the bhoktritvam of the body mind sense complex. I am Asanga Atma. Then, what is this world which is appearing in me? The last line says, Rajvam Bhujangama Iva Pratibhasitam Vai. This also we have seen. The whole universe is nothing but a projection in me by Maya. Therefore, what is the relationship between me, Brahman, and the Jagat? It is the relationship of a projection or adhyasa. Adhishtana adhyasa sambandha. That means what? I am the adhishtanam in which the entire Jagat, including this body and mind complex, is projected. What is an example? Many examples. We have already seen these examples. A movie is projected on the screen. So many things happen in the movie. Nothing happens to the screen. The screen is asangaha. The movie appears on the screen, exists for a time on screen, at screen, and disappears into the screen. Correct? Then a dream appears in me, the waker, exists in me, the waker, resolves into me, the waker. But I, the waker, is in no way affected by what happened in the dream. The dream is my projection upon myself. Similarly, the world is a projection on Atma or me. This entire universe is a mere projection. Like here, the example he gives, Rajvam Bhujangamiva. That means what? On a rope, our typical Vedanta example. Vedanta cannot teach without Raju Sarpa. It is not possible. This is something which has to be there in every Vedantic teaching. What is the meaning of that? Supposing I see a snake on a rope, is the real snake there? No. I have projected a snake on the rope. Therefore, the rope does not get affected in any way by the snake. Correct? The mirage water does not wet the sand in any way. The mirage water is a mere appearance on the sand. The sarpa is a mere appearance on the raju. The dream is a mere appearance on the waker. The movie is a mere appearance or a projection on the screen. What else? The magic of a magician is nothing but a projection upon the magician. The magician is the Satyam, magic is Mithya. Raju is the Satyam, Sarpa is Mithya. The snake, when I realize this Raju as Raju, where does the snake go? It does not go away, it does not slide away. The snake just disappears. You can't even say disappears because it was not there in the first place. It resolves into the rope itself. So the snake appeared on the rope, existed on the rope till my misconception existed. Once my misconception was gone, the snake was also gone. It did not get into the rope, it did not go away, it just disappeared because it was a mere projection. Where did the movie go once the movie was over? Did it disappear? It just disappeared because it was not there in the first place. Similarly, he says that what is the relationship between me, Brahman, Atma, and the Jagat? Mayaya, by avidya, this whole universe is projected upon me, and therefore I, the Atma, is asangaha. The world is projected upon me. Brahman Atma, I am absolutely unaffected. Asangaha aham asmi. The body mind sense complex is projected upon me, but I am in no way afflicted by whatever the body mind sense complex does. All the karma is happening in the body mind sense complex. The kartritvam is at the body mind sense complex. Bhoktritvam is at the body mind sense complex. I am only the adhishtanam. I only am the Sakshi Chaitanya, the witness consciousness of the Kartritvam of the body mind sense complex, Bhoktritvam of the body mind sense complex. Therefore, all the actions of the body mind sense complex, the entire body mind sense complex itself, is a mere projection in me because of my ignorance. Ignorance of what? My real nature. I do not know I am that Asanga Atma. I take this body, mind, sense complex to be Satyam. I take the Jagat to be Satyam. I take all the Vyavaharas of the Jagat to be Satyam. What did Lord Krishna say? All your Vyavaharas with the Jagat are Gunaha Guneshu Vartante. Indriyani Indriyartheshu Vartante. Na aham kinchit karomi. I don't do anything. I, the consciousness, am merely providing satta and spurti, existence and consciousness to all the vyaparas that are happening in the Jagat. Then can we say the Jagat is not there? It is not absent. It is merely an experiential reality, what we call as Vyavaharika Satyam. Who am I? I am the absolute truth Atma. I am the Paramarthika Satyam Atma. The Jagat is the Vyavaharika Satyam Mithya. There can be no relationship between me, the Satya Atma, and the Mithya Jagat. Therefore, who am I? I am the Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma. I am that Hridi Samspurata Atma Tattvam. I am Sat Swarupa Atma, Chit Swarupa Atma, Sukha Swarupa Atma, the very goal of all the mumukshus. I am the very consciousness which is the witness of all the three states of the mind in all the three avasthas. I have nothing to do with the sense organs, but I bless the sense organs with all their activities. I am the very perceiver consciousness, and therefore the sense organs and the mind cannot describe me. I am the self-revealing consciousness, self, the one, the consciousness or Atma, which is all the time self-proclaiming itself as Ahamasmi, Ahamasmi. There is no need for sense organs or the mind to objectify me because I am not objectifiable. I am the very subject consciousness, and in me the whole Jagat appears. I am the very Satta Pradayaka for the entire universe, but the world in no way affects me, just like a snake which is projected on the rope does not affect the rope in any way. Similarly, the body mind sense complex, the Jagat, does not influence or affect me in any way. Therefore, who am I? I am the Purnatva Swarupa Asanga Atma. And Adi Shankaracharya says, contemplate upon this daily as a part of Nididhyasanam. Of course, this is something which can be talked for any number of classes, but then I made it brief so that we have similar stotras which probably will be taking up in the future, next one or two verses. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः